for the leaders. That'll shake itself out in a moment. We're into the second half of the race. The start of the race was somewhat untidy, if we're honest, in the midfield particularly. Watch out for the crashing and banging. The Pecom car just in behind the Rebellion at the start. Down the inside, Olivier Plat. And in fact, down the outside, Olivier Plat. And Nick rather got handled because he was in the middle of two of the York Racing cars. And then pushed off by Olivier Plat up into turn 4. At the same time, the leading Porsches were getting held up by P2 cars who checked up, and all of a sudden we've got GT cars right in the middle of the GT of the P2 field. First of the major retirements. What we think is the first ever Toyota engine failure for Rebellion Racing, and a fiery one it was too for Nico Prost, who helped the marshals put it out. Then more drama piled upon it with another Toyota with a driveline or an engine problem. Alex Wirtz been trailing oil since he went out of his pits some dozen or so laps before then. Got the car to the end of the pit lane, not having gone through the pits, and called it a day after rolling the car into a place of safety. That was some time ago now. We thought at that stage, as Alex walked back, he was commiserated with by Dr. Ulrich. Spin for the Aston Martin right in front of the 41 Graves car into turn number 10. And then Luis Perez Companc leading the P2 category for Pecom, having Nick Manassian having fought his way back from 6th in class at one stage to lead on a magnificent double stint. Just lost the back end of the car in the braking. Mike Conway went through, but we've since had a set of pit stops, and Roman Rusinov has taken over the lead of the category. But the big news, of course, like Duval, grinding to a halt again with what sounds like driveline issues, some kind of transmission or driveline issues. That car is out. However, having scrutinised the rules, whilst you don't have to be running at the end of the race to get points, you do have to have completed 70% of the race, or that has been completed by the leader, and that means that in about, well, Paul will tell us when that car, well, I can tell you when that car stopped. Actually, it stopped on lap 93, so that has to go to a few more laps yet. About 120, says Nick.
20, yeah, 120, 121.
More drama for the number 1 car. Marcel Fessler reported for overtaking under yellow flags, and I think we saw that on a replay with a Porsche, and that was whilst the yellow flags were out for his teammate. So that could yet have an issue.
Hi, John.
Loss of drive for number 2. Nick.
Just going to see if I can grab a quick word with a driver who's just got out, looking very hot. Are you hot and bothered or hot and happy, Alex Brundle?
Bit bothered, to be honest, because we haven't really got the pace to challenge the cars in front of us at the moment. We're all right, we're there, but we need to be quicker than them. You know, we've got a 50-second deficit at the moment, so and the guys in front of us are the guys we're challenging us in the championship. So we've got to find something, but I'm confident we will. The balance of the cars is great. The balance of the cars is great. We just aren't delivering the grip. You know, we're there or thereabouts. We need a bit of something different.
Well, we've seen the pros do the driving, and now we've got you know, the gentlemen. So do you feel that Davey might be your secret weapon?
Yeah, obviously we put the pros in first because track position's so important. If there's a safety car and the leader cuts the pack, then your race is over as far as the cars ahead are concerned. So yeah, David could cut the mustard. We'll see. He was pretty good in night practice, so we'll see how he gets on.
Thanks, Alex.
And while Nick was talking to Alex there, in and out has gone the 71 Ferrari. He came in leading GTE Pro. Let's just recap what's happened with 3 major retirements. Rebellion with an engine failure of its Toyota engine, with driveline issues for Alex Wirtz and the 7 Toyota, and similar issues for the number 2 of Loic Duval, Tom Christensen and Alan McNish, who didn't get in the car. But clearly that car will not complete 70%, it will not be classified, and therefore they remain on the same number of points. In fairness, there is that little known codicil that drivers who have been a team for the whole season should all score the same points. Well, that's not going to need to be pulled into operation here because of the fact that the car is out. No points are going to be scored by any of the drivers, and their lead at the head of the Drivers' Championship is unassailable. Audi have already won the Manufacturers' Championship, and those guys were already unassailable in terms of the Drivers' Championship. The only way they can lose the Drivers' Championship now is if there were points taken from them, Paul.
Well, that's right. Yes, but no, I think we're barking up a wrong tree in a way. I think the thing that is significant is that an Audi has failed.
Yes.
Both an Audi and a Toyota have had a mechanical failure, regardless of championships and all that kind of thing, which are important. I'm taking that away, but we haven't seen this. Now, my feeling is that both Audi and Toyota, back at their respective headquarters, are spending 95% now of their time looking at the 2014 cars, and it's a bit like those lessons that you have just before Christmas at school, isn't it? Nobody's really interested, nobody really is paying any attention, and all sorts of things sometimes go wrong, and I get that feeling here. It's a bit end of term, it's a bit kind of Christmassy, and I think the result is that some of the focus has been lost. Shock Coral, we've had retirements in a P1, in 3 out of the top 5 P1 cars.
Craig saying, really enjoying the coverage from Bahrain. We need a WEC race in Canada. I'm not sure the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is a Class 1 or a Class 2 circuit, which would need to be probably a Class 1, but certainly a Class 2 for the FIA to go there.
Montreal, John?
Montreal would be good.
Yeah.
Well, so is Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Have you any idea how hard it is to put a race on there?
Still Class 1.
Oh yes, absolutely.
A World Endurance pedigree. It has had World Endurance race before. That wasn't a terribly successful one.
All I remember is a drain cover being sucked up and going through the bottom of a car and entering
precisely so, 1991, I think.
Was that Jesus Pereira involved in that again?
It was indeed, yes. I was there for that.
No way. Very, very, very envious. Into the pit lane comes Aston Martin, number 95 from the lead of the GTE AM. 2 hours 45 still to go. And in the pro class, it's Tony Vielander from Darren Turner. The gap now just 10.6 seconds between those two battling giants. And they've both done their third pit stops as well. This is going to be tight. We need to keep our eye on GTE Pro. We've been looking at the front of the field. Grade 2, sorry, did I say Class 2? I meant grade 1 and grade 2 circuits, my apologies. We need to keep our eyes on GT now because of the 7 titles still up for grabs, the majority of them are still in GTE Pro and AM, and we're going to have to get the abacus out at the end of this. Graham Goodwin is keeping an eye on the points for us, and as you can see, the top 6 have all made their third pit stops. In GTE AM, it's Christian Poulsen from Rui Aguas from Marcos Baltala back in the 76 Porsche. They're doing well again. IMSA Performance Matt car. Emmanuel Collard in 4th position in the 61 car. New driver lineup there with Matt Griffin, Manu Collard and Francois Perraudot.